Brussels rejects Erdogan's offer. EU accession and NATO membership are two separate processes.
Here's a summary of the article.
The European Commission has rejected the surprising demand put forward by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. In remarks delivered on Monday morning, Erdogan made a direct link between Sweden's bid to join the NATO military alliance, which his country continues to block, and Turkey's long-standing candidacy to become a member of the European Union, which has been on an effective standstill since 2018. Turkey has been waiting at the door of the European Union for over 50 years now, and almost all of the NATO member countries are now members of the European Union. I am making this call to these countries that have kept Turkey waiting at the gates of the European Union for more than 50 years, Erdo said, according to the Associated Press. The European Commission was however quick to dispel the notion that EU accession and NATO membership were somehow intertwined, insisting the two processes were separate and happening in parallel. Although the EU institutions have worked to deepen their cooperation with NATO, whose headquarters are also located in Brussels, they are careful to avoid depicting both organizations as overlapping or complementary in any way, given that three EU countries, Ireland, Austria and Malta, defend the principle of neutrality. The accession process for each candidate country is based on the merits of each country, Dana Spunand said. The rhythm of the next steps is determined by the progress and the work done by the candidate countries in order to meet the targets or the steps that are set out. By comparison, NATO accession is relatively straightforward, as proven by Finland's record speed entrance. The European Commission's 2022 enlargement report painted a grim outlook of Turkey's EU hopes as it raised serious concerns on the continued deterioration of democracy, the rule of law, fundamental rights and the independence of the judiciary, issues that have strained EU-Turkey ties since the 2016 attempted coup d'état and the 2017 presidential referendum.
This post received a score of 6,900, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Turkey, well, think AB. EU, separate processes.
He played himself? And now has made things more difficult for him. What a fuckwit.
All he's doing with this demand is reaffirming that if he gets in, he's gonna immediately start pulling all sorts of stunts going forward. Why on earth would any current EU country want that?
Remember when he threatened to unleash a wave of refugees, fleeing the Syrian war, unless Turkey gets let into the EU? From a more pragmatic standpoint, I understand Turkey's ire with having to absorb all the refugees, but that's the disadvantage that comes with territory when they're also fully willing to exploit their geographical importance as well.
In case Turkey would join the Union, that will make far easier for the refugees already in Turkey to enter the EU, not the opposite, and not mention the Turks themselves.
Or Russians.
Lots of Russian refugees. Lots of Ukrainian refugees. I'm not sure if the solution to this problem is to keep Turkey out of the economic zone indefinitely.
Now, to be fair, latest statistics show that Ukrainian refugees are some of the most beneficial refugees you can get. In Sweden, they are at 56% employment rate after a year. Compare that to the average 29% in Sweden.
Erdogan needs the EU more than Sweden needs NATO. Sweden already has bilateral alliances with the UK and US. Sweden doesn't have to give Erdogan anything. Call his bluff and give him nothing.
Sweden is part of the EU. If someone would attack Sweden, Sweden would be protected by UK, US and EU. So I'm sure that Sweden is pretty safe without NATO protection from Albania, Iceland, North Macedonia, Norway, Canada and Turkey. Also, I think most of them would also side with Sweden or already have mutual defence pacts, like Norway added Canada.
Both Sweden and Norway are part of the EU's economic union, and Denmark plus Sweden plus Norway recently agreed to a joint territorial air defence, so you should defiantly take Norway off that list.
I think I wasn't precise. I listed only NATO countries, which are not in 3EU, because of the EU defence clause. I didn't want to imply that the others won't side with Sweden.
I know, I was just pointing out that just as you included alliances with the UK and us, you should also include Norway, as the two countries aren't just allied, but literally shares an air force.
Sue Wheat. Erdogan again overplaying his hand and getting smacked down. Those who have to ask so hard to be invited to exclusive clubs usually find themselves waiting in line behind the velvet rope. Hope Turks brought a chair and a newspaper.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.